Good morning. My name is Peter, and alongside me is Blake and Anthony. Today, we will be providing a short overview on emotional disability, covering what it is, the impacts of it, ableism that may occur towards these individuals, and lastly, some plans for instruction with this audience. At this point in time, your first question probably is, just what exactly is emotional disability or disturbance? You may think of it as just depression or anger issues, but it actually encompasses a wide range of afflictions. Section 300.8(c)(4) of the Individual with Disabilities Act defines it as such. A condition exhibiting one or more of the following over a long period of time and marked to a degree that adversely affects a child's educational performance. An ability to learn that cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors, an inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers and teachers, inappropriate types of behavior or feelings under normal circumstances, a general pervasive mood of unhappiness or depression, a tendency to develop physical symptoms or fears associated with personal or school problems. Emotional disturbance includes schizophrenia. The term does not apply to children who are socially maladjusted unless it is determined that they have an emotional disturbance under paragraph C4I of this section. That is quite the hefty definition. It might be easier to give some examples of emotional disturbances/disorders. Some common ones include anxiety disorders, bipolar disorders, conduct disorders, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, also known as OCD, and psychotic disorders. The important thing about these disorders is that they are not a physical barrier, meaning that they have many of the same capabilities to engage in class like their peers. However, just because we cannot see it doesn't mean they aren't very real. It is up to us to help these students succeed regardless of the size of weights they may carry.
I'd like to take some time to talk about the impacts of emotional disability. Now, students with emotional disability can showcase a variety of behaviors. These outbursts come from them internalizing or externalizing their problems. They can bring disruptive behavior into the classroom with behaviors such as temper tantrums or ADHD. ODD and CD are the most common cases. So what is ODD, or oppositional defiant disorder? With oppositional defiant disorder, behavior can be frequent and ongoing. It typically develops before the early teens and can lead to students having angry or irritable moods, argumentative and defiant behavior, and in severe cases, hurtful or revengeful behavior. So students, what does it look like in the classroom? Students with ODD will purposely act out in the classroom, however these actions are very much so out of their control. Students with ODD just need more attention to detail, watching for actions that lead to their breakdown. So let's take a look at CD, or conduct disorder. Students with CD focus on rule breaking, violating others' basic rights, and in extreme cases, destruction of property. Students with CD need to be monitored more closely, ensuring the safety of other students while making sure your student with CD meets their learning and behavior goals.
Ableism in the classroom. Educators may view symptoms and disengagement in classroom activities as disrespectful, laziness, and disinterest in education. Peers may also ostracize, tease, spread rumors, and lie about students with disabilities. Students with other marginalized identities are more likely to experience bullying. How does ableism in the classroom affect students? Educators may reinforce students' negative self-beliefs of feeling inadequate, having low self-esteem, and low self-image. Peer bullying can lead to some disorders like anxiety and depression, and can also worsen students' symptoms, both mental and physical. How to combat ableism in the classroom. Educators should familiarize themselves with symptoms to potentially identify undiagnosed students. They should be equipped with the knowledge to direct students and parents so the student may receive professional help, and they should understand the student's behavior is influenced by the disability to avoid harsh punishments like being sarcastic, dismissive, and rude. Planning for instruction. Building relationships with students like daily check-ins, being patient and consistent. Fostering peer interaction and belonging, with structured group work to reduce self-isolation and social anxiety. Students should have designated break times so they can regulate their own emotions and make sure they are staying on task.
So how do you accommodate this in the classroom? Students with defiant disorder will still try to break the rules. It's part of who they are. What do you do with a student who seems like they are going against the grain no matter what? You can work with the student's caretaker to find what works best for the student. They know the student best. Find what reinforces good behavior for the student and use that. Students with ODD work better with clear expectations. In secondary education, these don't need to be reinforced as often. However, with a troubled student, a reminder of these expectations can be crucial. Be subtle about it. Don't single out the student. Give the illusion of control. When you're ready, we need to do this. So, on the topic of being subtle, how do you do it? Don't talk to a single student about expectations. Incorporate it into your lesson. When assigning work to the students, be clear on what you're expecting, how work should be completed, whether it's silent, in groups, and when it's supposed to be due, or what working should look like.
Thank you for watching our presentation on emotional disability and its relevancy in the classroom. We hope you learned something and can apply that to your future experiences. For further information, check out some of the resources listed below. Once again, this has been Peter, Brian, and Anthony. Thank you. Resources and information used in this presentation are credited to the people and associations as follows: the International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Education Standards, Philip Castle from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Sally Lindsay, Janice Phone Prasith, Sarah Leo, and Nargis Abdiahad, Marcel O. Ogundelli, the Center for Parent Information and Resources, the Institute blog, and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Thank you.